controller.
Just share your screen. That'll be the live stream.
It'd be a lot of anxiety right there.
How's it going, everybody? I think we're actually live. Yeah, I believe so. We've done it. Although Lance is in the middle of that time. Here, yeah, we're live. We've got the ratio issue on Instagram again. Per usual. So I'm gonna go over here.
Yeah. My God. Okay, I'm in the middle. How's this?
Sarah in the middle. Yeah.
I want to see it. I'm gonna go look it up.
Oh yeah. Does it have anything to do with your layout of your Zoom, Tim?
Well, that's what I was just moving, and it doesn't seem to have affected
it. All right.
Oh, this is great. It is a nice microphone. I'm very proud of it.
Well, it looks beautiful.
Really, you should highlight that microphone.
Yeah, especially like the back half of it.
Yeah.
The part that you don't talk into. That part looks really cool.
The part that you plug into.
Yeah.
Oh, got some sound padding there on your wall too.
Only Amazon's finest. Absolutely.
It works. Don't knock it. Yeah. But we are looking.
We're off and running.
Off and running here.
Yeah. How's it going, everybody? People are filling up the chat. I don't know how to make the ratio look better if you're watching this on Instagram. There's got to be some way, but we haven't figured it out yet.
Maybe just call out to Lula. Anyone who works at lula.tv. We're powered by Lula. Everything else seems to be working well, except for just the ratio issue on Instagram. So if anyone's working at Lula and they can tell us what's going on,
we'll wait.
We'll wait here.
But we're also streaming live on Twitter and YouTube. And so welcome, everybody. We're finally doing this show again. We were doing a Get Vocal show for a while, and I think we're now doing this Lula show. Although I'm not really sure that we're streaming on Twitter. I don't know what's going
on. We are on Twitter.
You see us streaming there?
I see us streaming, yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay, we are
live
streaming
on Lula. I'm about to retweet it.
And you can see all of us without anyone having to lean anywhere. This is wonderful. Okay, we're really off and running now. Sarah Turney, welcome to the Crime and Culture Show. I know this is a total nightmare already to be stuck here with us, looking at the back of your microphone, but how are you?
I'm great. It's never a nightmare, always a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Also, I don't think anyone on Instagram can fully say that I was ever here, so I might be able to deny it.
I think maybe if you just what if you talked into the back of your microphone?
Just got my face over here somehow.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. Well, okay.
That seems reasonable.
So Instagram, you can watch, but you can see the back of Sarah's mic. Twitter, YouTube. I've been seeing that we're looking pretty solid on Twitter and YouTube. So that's great. That's great. So Sarah, thank you for joining us on the inaugural episode, which we're calling Crime and Culture Live, because our Get Vocal night was True Crime Night, and we wanted to mix it up a little bit. All week long, 6 days, 7 days a week, we handle the true crime stories, and we'll have some crime topics, but mix it in a little culture. We like to say this is where crime and culture intersect. The intersection. If you were traveling down a street called Crime, and someone said, take a left at culture, that's where we would be.
I love it. That makes total sense to me. No, I love any opportunity to be able to speak freely as a person on a show rather than like a script. So this is really exciting for me. I don't get to do this a lot.
Awesome. So to start off, I am curious, what is on your slate for 2022? Because we just passed the new year, and happy new year. And what do you have going on? And maybe give us a little recap of 2021, and then what's happening for Sarah Turney in 2022.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, 2021 was pretty great. I did Voices for Justice. I started covering other cases that weren't my sister's on there. So that was very terrifying, but also amazing. And I was really happy with the progress. I also started a new podcast called Disappearances with Spotify, and that was really cool. And as far as 2022, it's different, right? Because I do have this upcoming trial. I have a trial coming in March, my dad's trial for my sister's murder, and I have to brace myself for that. I'm giving myself a lot of grace time for that. So I don't have any huge plans for like Q1 2022, but in 2022, I want to keep just doing what I'm doing and get better at it. And one huge goal I have is I want to double the amount of donations I made last year for 2022. I just want to keep getting better and keep helping people. I think that's the best way to put it.
And you did a fantastic with the charity work that you've been doing. You raised, what was it, like 14 grand, over 14,000?
Yeah, just about 14,000 I raised slash donated. So yeah, I would love to get to 28,000, if not more, in 2022. That would be super cool.
Well, that is really cool. Yeah, well done with that. And we'll be here to support you for your quest to 28 plus thousand in 2022. That's very cool.
Hey, thanks.
I
Yeah,
feel like
I kicked it off with private investigations for the missing too. Just wanted to throw
Thank
that out
you.
there.
Yes. That is the nonprofit that we are affiliated with. Lance and I sit on the board of Private Investigations for the Missing. You can check them out at investigationsforthemissing.org. Also on their social feeds, they have some pretty great social pages. And yeah, we're affiliated with them through our podcast Missing as well. Some of the volunteers for PIs for the Missing volunteer some time to do research, and some of that research we end up discussing on the Missing podcast.
You guys do amazing work, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You
I
do
just
amazing work.
I just moved my
Sorry, I feel like I always come in and like make it heavy. I don't mean to. I'm like, yeah, I just, there's a trial and these donations. Like I always come in and make it heavy. So I'm gonna try to make it a little bit lighter. I apologize, guys.
Oh, don't apologize. Nothing to apologize for. I might have been a little distracted because I was trying to move my screen down to take your place. So maybe that would help on Instagram, because I'm feeling like I'm on spot here. I can't watch Instagram while I do this because I feel like I don't know what to say. I feel like it's just me here.
All eyes are on you, Lance.
I'm gonna get that tattoo on my torso.
Well, Sarah, the trial that's coming up in March, I know we probably can't talk too much about it, but I'm wondering, are you taking a production break, I would imagine, from your podcasts?
It depends. Actually, I'm really trying hard not to. I want to get ahead on episodes and just make sure that I have plenty in the pipeline to keep putting out these episodes. I don't want to take a large break. I think it actually might make me feel worse, as crazy as that sounds. But I mean, if it comes to it and which I anticipate, spending days and days in these courtrooms, then yeah, if I have to, I absolutely will. But I'm trying my best not to be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just to provide yourself with a welcome distraction, I suppose, and keep the gears moving at the same time.
Yeah, no, I think it helps me, to be honest. But also, every slot I feel every week is a chance to help somebody. And I take that really seriously. Of course, I feel like in 2021, I really did burn myself out. I talked about this on my Patreon, but like, I worked myself into the ground and I had to acknowledge that. So in 2022, I'm really trying not to. So actually, today I hired my first paid employee. I've never had an unpaid employee, but my first employee for Voices for Justice. So super exciting. I think it's going to help a lot. And yeah, so hopefully I can just keep it going.
How cool. Congratulations. That's a huge step.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. A little help, I think, will go a long way to get some things off my plate and give me a little more time to be creative too. I realized over winter break that I hadn't done that in years, where I just took a few weeks off and my brain could kind of be creative again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It's a totally different sort of mindset. And yeah, I don't do well with breaks. Oh man, I'm like stir crazy. I'm like shot out of a cannon when it's time to work again.
That's how I am. And I took
can't.
it out on
Yeah.
my house. Like that,
Mm.
I was like, okay, I'm cleaning everything, throwing everything away. But yeah, it's really hard for me to sit still. I'm not going to lie.
What's the new show?
Oh,
Can you
sure.
fill us in on that?
Disappearances.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Disappearances has more of a historical aspect. A lot of the cases are, to be quite frank, really old. And you learn a lot of different things. But what's cool is every case kind of has this unique aspect to it, and it focuses on different social issues, especially more and more as we develop the show. We're getting deeper and deeper into these social issues, so it's just really cool. It, like I said, there's more of a historical focus than I do with Voices for Justice. The episodes are shorter. They don't go into as much detail, but they hit the key points really well. And what's really cool is I finally get to work with a team, which before today I've never done with Voices for Justice. So having, such amazing people on the team has been really cool. And we're able to create something I think really special that reaches a different audience. And having Spotify back it is just, it's really amazing to me. So yeah, they seem similar, but they're really different when you listen to them. It's been a really cool project that should continue through at least the end of 2022. So I'm super excited about it.
That's awesome. Way to go. What are some of your can you highlight any of the historical cases that you talk about? Like maybe your favorites?
It's see, I still like can't pick a favorite. And they're so different too in the ways that they matter. Like some are super serious. And I mean, all true crime is serious, right? Especially that's how I feel. But there are some like this couple that goes down a river and they get lost. Was it for fame? Was it for adventure? And so I get to kind of play a little bit more with these aspects of why people go missing instead of really being heavy and deep in these details. So I love that episode. What else did I get to do? I got to do Harold Holt, which is the Australian Prime Minister who went missing. I got to do, a cadet who goes missing. Funny enough, there have been some really cool stories, and it's really hard to pick a favorite. And there's a lot more really cool ones coming up.
And the historical element, do you have like a time frame, like a timeline where you stop covering?
No, I think, gosh, it's so hard to remember. And I have to tell you, it's totally different when you're deeper in the research instead of working with a team. So you have to forgive me because I don't dedicate them to memory the same way. It's just a totally different process. But I think the oldest we go back to is perhaps the 16 or 1700s. I think Henry Hudson might have been one of the first in terms of chronological cases that we did. And I learned so much. I don't know, but like I missed so much school as a kid because I just didn't go because I was a punk or whatever. So it's cool to go back and learn about, somebody like Henry Hudson. I was like, why didn't I know this? If they would have told me this in school about how the whole ship tried to mutiny and stuff, I would have been really into that. Like, why can't I learn about this in school? So it's been, quite frankly, extremely educational for me.
Is it just you doing the research?
No, I have a wonderful team of researchers and writers over there at Spotify that help. Spotify and Parcast.
Nice. Very cool. Well, congrats on that show. Yeah. And is it, can you get it everywhere? Is it just on Spotify?
It is exclusive to Spotify, but it is 100% free.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool. And do you get a lot of comments like, why is this not on Apple? What's going on? Or are they all like, oh, we love Spotify. This is great. We don't use Apple anyway.
No, at first I definitely got a ton of those comments, but I think that's why I add that line of like, but it's free, because I think that was an easy way to combat it. But yeah, I mean, you get people who have their preferred podcast player, for sure.
And what do you think about
Voices for
people?
Justice is available everywhere. Sorry, what was that?
What do you think about people who only use Stitcher exclusively?
I mean, I don't think I have anything bad to say about Stitcher as a company.
Okay. Damn. Okay. Trying to get some dirt. What about the people who use Stitcher?
It's on. Huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
I have nothing against Stitcher. I love Spotify.
I'm just
I
kidding.
have
I love
not
them
a
all.
mean word to say about Spotify. No, I mean, it's definitely different. And you do have to, I mean, it's something you have to add at the end, only available on Spotify. It's an extra piece of information you have to tell people for sure. But I'm excited to be on the team, and it's been a really cool opportunity. I've never done anything quite like it.
What was more exciting? Three options. The show that you're doing with Spotify, when Spotify first contacted you about that, when you got your check mark on Twitter, or when you met Tim and I. Which one is the more exciting moment?
I mean, like, honestly, like when you're talking about like where I was at in life, it was probably meeting you guys. And I'm not saying that just because I'm on your show.
No, that's
Spotify
the
would
right
be a
answer.
really close second. It would be a really close second. But when you guys know, and Lance, we have this whole story about how we just fangirl over each other every time we see each other because it's been so many years now. But yeah, I mean, when I saw you guys, I freaked out. Yeah, and you guys know, you guys are close to my heart. I told you all sorts of things about Alyssa's case before I told anybody else. And you guys kept that secret. It's not a secret now. It's public knowledge, but I'll never forget that.
And when you told us all those things, Tim was like, I'm going to tweet them out. I'm going to tweet it all out. He's like, we need the ratings. And I was like, you can't. We
were lucky. Yeah, Lance really talked me off the ledge there. Sometimes it's reversed, but we need the ratings. So sometimes, you have to balance how far to go,
Ethics.
out the window sometimes.
Well, thanks for saving the day, Lance.
Yes.
Saving the world, saving the planet with your bees.
Oh yeah.
I love your
I'm
bees.
trying to restructure my position here, so maybe I can be half a person too. But there's a delay, so I don't know which way to go.
Do a hand puppet.
Yeah.
My nails aren't done, so forgive me, but
Well, speaking of hand puppets and hand signals, Lance, we have a really interesting episode this week that's coming out on Missing that is about the hand signal for help that was developed by the Canadian Women's Foundation. And we have a woman named Andrea Gunraj on the show this Thursday to talk about that hand signal, how it was developed, and how it can literally save lives.
And Sarah, you are an avid TikToker. What's your thoughts on this? How this hand signal is being like harnessed?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I think it's a really great, discreet way for people to express that they're in distress. And yeah, I mean, I believe it's already saved a few lives. Me and Tim were chatting before the show about a story in November, I believe it was, about a 16-year-old where the hand signal saved their life. And that's because it went viral on TikTok. And because that's where, the people who need these messages live, right? On social media. We need these to be on easily accessible platforms like TikTok. And you can't, I'll say it, I've said it before and I'll say it again, you can't go viral anywhere else quite like you can on TikTok. So I think it's absolutely incredible and a huge show of something amazing going viral for a great reason.
It was really interesting to speak with Andrea from the Canadian Women's Foundation, because the simplicity in that hand signal, which is just you cover your thumb like that. Yeah. To come up with something like that, I didn't realize like how important it was to consider the simplicity of it. When you're in a situation like that and you need to signal, it can't be obvious to whoever you're, trying, like your captor, somebody that you're trying to get away from, the reason why you're signaling, right? So it can't be anything obvious. And as Andrea was speaking, it was so impressive to me that they came up with that they understood why that needed to be just something that could be passed off as anything, like a wave. It could just the way the person waves. I find that amazing that they were able to identify something like that and make that happen.
Yeah, no, it's incredible how people are able to come up with things like that, and something that could be, applied across the world. You know, there's no language barrier there to be able to do that hand signal. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. But the one thing that needs to be in place for the hand signal to work is for the person using it to know it and for the person who sees it to know it as well. So it's important to spread the word about that. Share these stories about it. That would help. There was a pretty good viral video campaign I think they did to publicize it initially. And I think that really worked and connected with people. I don't know if you remember seeing those videos, but I think it was like about like it was like a woman on her laptop in like the kitchen, and it was like this woman's like husband is listening to her conversation, and then she did the signal, and it's like, oh, and she just did the signal, and her husband never knew. And it was a really good video because it seemed real, but it was also obviously helpful and meaningful. And like, I use the word obviously because it's obvious how it can be useful.
Oh yeah, no, I saw those videos all over my For You page on TikTok. It was insane. Everybody was talking about it. In fact, I had a video about Alyssa up on TikTok around that same time, and someone was telling me that she was using that hand signal, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it hadn't been invented yet. You know what I mean? So it shows how far that message has gotten. So I think that they're incredible. Are they coming up with any other amazing initiatives like that?
Well, you're going to have to listen to the episode.
Ah, of course. Perfect.
This
No,
Thursday
seriously though,
on
that
this.
sounds really cool. Like, yeah, sorry. But these are the people we need to be listening to. So I think it's awesome you guys are featuring that. So when and where can I listen to that at, Tim?
Only on
It's,
Stitcher.
coming out Thursday morning, wherever you get podcasts. It's on our Missing feed. You can follow us on social media, Missing CSM. And one other thing about TikTok, we're talking about TikTok here. We need to get to 1,000 TikTok followers to be able to stream this very show directly to TikTok. And guess what? TikTok, they ain't having ratio problems. They figured it out. Instagram's behind on this, or maybe it's us that's behind on it, but TikTok, there's no ratio issue.
I can't find anything that gives you a ratio selection. So I don't think it's us.
I don't think it's you either. I think it's Instagram. And to be fair, it's like a Facebook company or a Meta company or whatever now, right? So their fault.
Okay, let's
go for it. Go for it.
No,
Lance.
I was gonna say, yeah. Dabble a little bit in the culture part of it. But how do you feel about this Facebook rebranding to Meta?
I think it's a desperate attempt to get more people to stay on their platform that is slowly dying out. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think Facebook is the worst social platform that exists, especially for advocacy and intelligent conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
just to be totally blunt.
Yeah, no, great. I mean, I don't use it much at all. I maybe spend like 10 minutes a week on there at this point. And I don't like it for a lot of the same reasons you just said, Sarah. And the Meta rollout thing, I don't even know like when they're going to start calling it that, because it's not called that now. Like, I know it's like Instagram's powered by Meta now, and, you know, Facebook's powered by Meta, but get out of here.
Yeah, it's a slow rollout. I compare it to when Dunkin' Donuts just changed simply to Dunkin', and that was a slow rollout. You can't just, take all the stores and change them at once.
No, we were ready for that though with Dunkin'.
We were
because
ready.
People
were
called
always
it that
calling it
anyway.
Dunkin'.
Yeah, no one ever called Facebook Meta. In fact, Facebook, like, the last thing it is Meta. You can call it fucking I won't.
Well, isn't the whole idea that they have like these spaces, like these virtual spaces you can walk into? And I'm like, isn't that what the kids are doing in like Roblox and stuff? And what you did on, what was that terrible game, that Half-Life, or no, those video games you could play where you would walk into the room. It was the same thing. And it was like 10 years ago, but now there's like, I don't know, it looks like a Fruit Loops box or whatever in these jungle commercials. So I don't get it. It doesn't seem like new technology to me. It seems like a really desperate attempt to rebrand.
Yeah.
And I feel like the name itself is just sort of a joke on us. Doesn't it feel like the name itself is just kind of like them pulling a joke?
Could
Yeah,
be.
I don't get it. I
Like-
don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so different too. I feel like Facebook, you just see people you follow and stuff. It's not the same as like seeing other random, I don't know, people showing up on your Twitter or TikTok or whatever. Like that's what I like about other social platforms is like you can more easily stumble across new ideas and like new people. And Facebook just seems like you just see everything you see every day. It's like an echo chamber.
Mm.
Echo
Yeah.
chamber. Okay, that's a good subject. Echo chamber. That's something that's a term that I just keep finding myself using more and more often. You know what I'd like? I mean, I wish we could get some guests on that we could have like a, that we completely disagreed with. Have you ever had that where you've had a guest on and you've totally disagreed with them and you actually record the episode and it's this, impactful dialogue that maybe the two of you don't reach a conclusion, but you both respect the fact that you argued well?
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Well, and I think I've actually, so hear me out. I played around with the idea of doing a show with somebody like that. It was somebody where we have completely different ideas about true crime. And it was like, let's talk it out. But by the end, we just like fought so bad that we just couldn't do it. Like we were like, we can't just like curse at each other and like call each other mean names because we were also like friends. So it's it's an interesting concept, but how do you make something like that work? How do you do it effectively? I think is the good question. How do you listen to each other?
Oh man, see, I want to unpack this. And who was that person? You can tell us. It'll just stay between us.
Mike Morford.
It was somebody in the podcasting community. It was Justin Rimmel from Mysterious Circumstances. I was like, all we do is fight. Why don't we just turn it into a podcast? And then it became real serious real quick.
Well, maybe because the subject matter is more on the serious side, but I feel like sports talk radio does that all the time. They're able to talk for 24 hours if need be, and pretty much like regurgitate the same stuff, but have very passionate takes. Do you think it's a subject matter that just causes it to be too, I don't know, anxiety inducing?
Yeah, it could be. It's hard. I think I'd be more easily to cave on subjects that I didn't feel were so important or personal, to be totally honest. If it were more something like sports or music or something like that, I think I could definitely play with it more. But it was interesting. I still strive to do something like that where you can like intelligently express different sides of the table of true crime, because I think it's valid. You know what I mean? I don't think everybody needs to feel the way I do or like you do or whoever,
Yeah, and sipping on some crime on Instagram said Incel Project has amazing interviews with different viewpoints, and that's a very good point. Incel with Nama Cates, that is something that is not spoken into an echo chamber and has really good points. But it also reminded me that we lost a very amazing human being over the holiday season. It was right around Thanksgiving, right?
I think I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, might have been late November.
Yeah, it was like the end of November. Jesse Morton from Light Upon Light passed tragically. And we said this after we did the interview with him. He was one of the smartest people I've ever, like, intimidatingly smart, but didn't use it to patronize, like didn't use it to talk down. He was just, like, there's not a lot I can contribute here because I'm not at your level. So you just, fill me in on your knowledge. And and he tragically passed.
Oh, it's too bad.
Yeah, very sad. He did a lot of work in trying to combat extremism, political extremism, and really just sort of online extremism. He became that way himself. He became what is the word, Lance? What am I? Radicalized.
He was a recruiter for jihadist recruiter. Yeah.
Right. But before that, he became radicalized and actually found himself in court for threatening, I believe, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. This was years ago. And he served a lot of time for that. And then he came out and was doing this work in combating extremism, having done it himself, having gone fully down that rabbit hole. he had a different experience, one that was valuable for people who were doing that themselves and couldn't help it or couldn't see it. So he was on our show last January. We were talking about the Capitol insurrection a little bit. The interview with him and Nama that we recorded just happened to be like scheduled like a week or so after the Capitol riot. I think it was just coincidentally. So we got into that a little bit, but that was really along the same lines, of the work that he did. And, to him, it wasn't really about politics. It was just about extremism. I think that was one of his main points, is like, try to find common ground. Doesn't matter what your viewpoint is, it can be extreme,
Yeah. Yeah. We're all human at the end of the day.
And Nama and Jesse both worked on Escape Hate, the podcast that, you can find it on Apple, ESC-Hate. And pretty much what Tim said, this was something that, was a program that helped talk through things like being radicalized and racial tensions and, just displaced individuals. Incredible human being. Great show. I think Escape Hate is probably going on an extended hiatus, and we'll see where that ends up, down the road. But amazing human being.
Yeah.
But I brought the show down there. My bad. Sorry.
I love talking about the serious issues. I could do it all day, every day.
Well, it's important. We deal with a lot of extremism, I think, in what we do, because a lot of what we do, especially in the last 2 years, is online. It's like exclusively online. And so you can find yourself in that echo chamber pretty easily. One guest that we have on Crawl Space tomorrow made a whole movie about it. What's the movie called, Lance?
The Pizzagate Massacre.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, there was an article that came out. I believe it was in The Guardian, but I could be wrong. This gentleman, this filmmaker, John Valley, made a movie, an independent movie, very independent, called The Pizzagate Massacre. And it was essentially what if, I don't know if you remember back in 2016 when, I think it was 2016 or 2017, when the rumor was going around, the QAnon rumor, that there was child molestation and child trafficking ring happening in this pizza parlor in the basement. And someone went in, this individual went in with a gun, and nothing happened. I mean, there's no basement in the pizza joint anyway. But John Valley, the filmmaker, was thinking like how close that came to being something. So he made this incredible, satirical, violent, funny movie that ended up getting him some death threats, which was what the article was about. So very approachable person. We reached out to him. He agreed to do an interview, and it was an incredible conversation, very well spoken, and we'll love to get him on again. And that episode is airing tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Yeah, tomorrow, which is the day before the anniversary of the insurrection. So I hope that stirs up some more conversation about that before people just start misremembering what actually happened on that day. And this is the type of movie that you can't look away from. Again, it's violent, funny. It makes a statement, and it's so well made and so well acted too, for the bootstrap budget that the guy had, the shoestring budget that the guy had. So tune into that, only on Stitcher as well. Just kidding. We need the ratings.
No, that's super interesting though. I love like satire being used that way. And I mean, it seems so relevant since I just watched Don't Look Up on Netflix, which a million people told me to watch. And I feel like it's so relevant given how popular that is right now. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think, it's a great example of how you can use satire to get your point across.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of fun. Oh, sorry.
Well, I just think that it's really interesting to explore the idea that, when it's like a first person look at this person who has gone down the rabbit hole, like they don't know that they're wrong. And I love that, you know, like as the audience, you can see it, obviously. Like he says the Civil War wasn't fought over slavery. Very funny line in the movie. Obviously, we know that it was. But someone who has gone down the rabbit hole doesn't know that they're wrong. And I just find that like such an interesting concept.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to pull people out, you know what I mean? Once you're so dedicated to a certain way of thinking, it's hard sometimes for people to be open-minded.
I'm really toying around with suggesting a conversation between our friend Jatarth Jadeja, who was the former QAnon follower who we had on, and John Valley. I think that might be a fun conversation if the two of them talked.
That's right.
A little
Yeah.
crossover.
Yeah, Jatarth, he's a really interesting guy. We've had him on a few times. Really fun to talk to. He was also radicalized by, you know, an extremist. He was a believer in QAnon, and then he came out of it. And his father is still a believer. And he's done a lot of publicity about this. Like he was, I don't know if you there was like a promo on the CNN. He was on a CNN documentary about this, and he like told Anderson Cooper to his face. He was like, "Yeah, I used to believe that you ate children," and it was like a salacious moment in the interview. But Jatarth is just like that. He'll just like, he's very open and honest, and he's like, "Yeah, that's what I thought." He was like, "I know it's crazy now." He's like, "But that's what I felt then." So yeah, you're right, Lance. That is kind of like the gatekeeper and the keymaster meeting in a way. Yeah.
Any run-ins with QAnon, Sarah?
You know, no, I have to say that I don't reach that sector of the internet very often.
And what about COVID? Have you stayed healthy?
I have, yeah, I have stayed healthy. Thank goodness. I'm very, very fortunate. But I stay in my house all day, every day, which is why I'm such a translucent white color. So yeah, I don't leave to the outside anyway. So yeah, but no, I've been really, really fortunate. How about you?
Me a little bit more than Tim. There's the unsung frontline soldiers of this past 2 years have been everyone's kids who have been just like along for the ride. Like some are too young to get vaccinated, and they're just along for the ride of these adults that should know better. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't have kids, so that's all I can really speak to. But Tim can weigh in as much as he.
It's impressive that the kids adapt so quickly to all this, and they did have it, like they missed a whole year of school, like and they're behind on a lot of things, not really academics that I'm talking about. I'm talking like social interactions, like especially younger kids, and I don't even know. Like we're going to be feeling that for years. Like the kids they haven't bounced back from that. There's some behavior issues. I'm sure all the parents who are listening now will understand. I think it's been a little bit worse this year. And then you have the added stress of COVID and obviously the illness part of it, but also the regulations. And if, someone's in close contact, then the parent has to stay home from work that week because they can't go to daycare. It's just a whole cluster, the whole cluster F. And man, I can't wait for this to end.
Yeah, it has to be so scary, especially for you guys out there with kids. I can't even imagine trying to balance work and making sure that they're safe and healthy. And, is the school open? Is the school closed? I know that in Arizona, that's changing all the time. We flip-flop all the time. And I don't know how parents do it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just hard to avoid all of it, you just kind of everyone just kind of does the best they can, I think, try to make safe decisions about where to go and when to go, and try to get vaccinated and boosted and try to get your kid that way if they're old enough, but on the flip side, I understand if you don't want to, but doesn't, it's part of the problem too, I think, obviously.
Yeah, and no one really paid attention when they were being told how contagious, how fast this would spread, and there was no foresight on how that would affect the economy other than businesses shutting down. But what you're talking about are kids that aren't going to daycare, parents still paying for daycare, kids sometimes going to daycare. You're still paying for daycare. That's expensive, and you don't have a job that you can't like do over Zoom, so that you can do over Zoom. So you might possibly have docked pay or no pay while you're out of work. You know how many people were in the service industry, and restaurants shut down, and they have kids that need to pay for daycare. I mean, where there was no foresight that was going to happen. It's so obvious that would have this incredible like ripple effect. And what do we get, like $1,200 for a year or something? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I was laid off in March of 2020. And
Really?
I didn't know what I was going to do. It was like, here I started this great new job. I was making more than I ever had my entire life. I was doing marketing for this company that it was like a dream job. What they did was they made a plastic that was biodegradable in a landfill environment. So I was like, awesome. I'm well paid. I'm in marketing. I get to do something that helps this world. And then it was like, bam, the pandemic hit and I was laid off, and it was like, sorry, good luck. And that's a big reason of why I went totally independent and threw so much into the podcast. Because I was like, all right, well, after trying to get a job in the pandemic and trying to recover from that, I was like, there is nothing certain in this life. I just need to focus on how to make what I want to do and how I want to help people sustainable. And I mean, thank goodness I didn't have children, and I live a meager enough life that I was able to make it work. But it was scary times. And I was one of those people who were laid off.
Well, isn't it true that you got on your private yacht and you just were like, I'm going, I'm setting sail, and I'm going to uncharted waters. I'm going outside of any territory. Call me when it's
This is actually on a yacht right now. I have fabricated my entire home office and put it on a yacht. That's all, that's how I'm social distancing. I don't know why you're judging me.
It's very responsible.
Yeah.
Sipping on Some Crime also said that it's months long waiting list for kids to get therapists.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that's a great aspect, honestly. I mean, a great aspect to bring up, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of frustration. Everyone's feeling stress, the longer it goes, the more stress, obviously cases are ridiculous right now. Luckily the variant doesn't seem as deadly, which is a good thing, but case numbers are incredibly high and the regulations haven't really changed. So back to like everyone, just trying to do their best, like, might be time to switch up the regulations a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert. I'll do what people suggest, but holy shit, maybe make it a little easier to get a test.
Yeah, that. And does anybody else find it really hard to keep up with all the recommendations? Like, I don't always know where to find them. I feel like they're coming from a million different places and they're changing all the time. So I think, I don't know, I've just stuck to like, I stay inside as much as possible, wear my mask everywhere, be vaccinated. Like I'm trying to stay tried and true to those initial suggestions.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of Don't Look Up, how did you guys like that movie?
I loved it. I thought it was so smart and so well done. And what's interesting is it was shot, and I read anyway that it was written and filmed before the pandemic, which is super interesting because it's very relevant to the situation, I feel. Well, in so many situations in the political climate, to be totally honest.
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned satire can sort of be adapted to teach. And yeah, I think you're right. You can absolutely adapt this into anything you want. And I think I heard that the filmmaker Adam McKay said it was more about climate change. It wasn't about the pandemic at all, but people watch it and see the pandemic, obviously.
Yeah, I think you can adapt it to a lot. I mean, for those who don't know, I'm not going to spoil it, right? But it's, basically these scientists are trying to prove that this giant meteor is coming to Earth and is going to destroy it. And so, they create this campaign, or I forget which comes first, right? But there's a campaign that's like, just look up in the sky. You can see it coming. It's coming to destroy our entire planet. And the anti-campaign to that is don't look up, just don't look in the sky, and you don't have to see it coming. It's so relevant to so many situations, and it was just so well done. And it's such a star-studded cast. It's a great movie. Honestly, one of the best I think I've seen in a while. Besides Squid Game, right? Probably since Squid Game.
It definitely had me laughing pretty hard at points. Started off a little shaky, I thought, the first few minutes. I'm not really sure about this, and then it just started getting hilarious.
I mean, how do you not love Jonah Hill and Meryl Streep and Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio? There's so many good people in it too.
Yeah, the cast is great.
Well, with that ringing endorsement, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. No, I had like a million people in my comments telling me to watch it. I was like, fine. Like, that's how I usually find out about stuff. I'm like, okay, the millionth person has told me, I guess I'll try it or whatever.
So I had a busy weekend, and I was going to watch it over the weekend. And then last night I was going to watch it, but it's like 2 hours. It's 2:20 or something like that. It was late. So I was like, you know what? I'll save it for next weekend where it's a little bit calmer. So, when it's a good movie like that, I like, unless it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, then I'll sit down and I'll watch it and I'll really take it in.
You'll just never watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Well, I really want to, but now I have to ride the joke out.
Just watch it. It's so good.
I've never seen The Matrix. Never seen The Matrix.
Okay.
Probably never will.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's Mike Morford.
Okay, but more importantly,
when is
I can't disclose that information. I don't know why you're asking me. It's extremely inappropriate. More importantly, when is the Pan-Man movie coming out?
Yes.
That's highly confidential.
Yeah. So yes, thank you for asking, Sarah. So Pan-Man Part 1 is a movie that I made a little over a decade ago with some friends in LA, and it's kind of like a cult slasher comedy, horror comedy type movie. And it's recently sort of gotten like a cult resurgence, if you will. So the movie might actually get a re-release in 2022, like a DVD re-release, which I think that would be amazing and a lot of fun if that were to happen. We have been playing around with the idea of a sequel, and I am writing the screenplay for the sequel right now, and I think it's coming along very well. And I really hope we get a chance to make it. It's absolutely bonkers, insane. The first movie was about a demon chef who kills culinary students. And he does so with cookware, and he wears a pot over his head that completely covers his head. And that's Pan Man. And so this one follows that character. But it's not so much about like culinary students. This one's more about the entertainment industry, and Pan Man kind of takes on Hollywood.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, I like the twists there. But I do have a question. Okay, so who and when did a chef do something terrible to you?
Nothing. I mean, I have nothing. Like, it's so funny. Like, I have no like connection with food really before. Like I only really started cooking in the last few years. Like when this first movie was made, like I had no idea how to cook or anything. And even like the viewpoint of like the culinary, like you don't learn anything about culinary students. Like it's not an exploration of that. It's like just complete goofiness. Really using them as the camp counselor, if you will. If this was like a Jason Voorhees Friday the 13th kind of movie. So nothing. There is it is a theme in the movie, but it's not even about cooking really in any way.
I thought maybe I'd get some type of awesome villain origin story for you.
Nah, I'm just a weirdo. I don't know.
You were like, denied from cooking school, and you saw the head chef or whatever as this murderer, but that's okay. I'm excited. No, that honestly though, that sounds super cool. I think the Hollywood aspect is a really cool twist.
It's much like Don't Look Up in the sense that you can take anything you want from it.
That is very true.
I love that. Open to interpretation.
Yes. Yeah, I can't wait though. I really, really want to talk more about it. Really want to share it with the masses. Hopefully we get to that point in 2022. That'd be really fun. A bit of a dream,
cool.
if you will. Yeah, to circle back to something that I did so long ago. If we were to do it again, that would just be, I don't know, a lot of fun.
I
Surreal.
love that. Yeah. It's time to follow your dreams. Life's too short.
You know what? You're not wrong. This is a dream within a dream. And it's it's so insane, Sarah. This I can't wait to share it. Yeah.
Real quick, I was curious about one of your episodes that you recently did on Maggie Long.
Yeah.
think-
What can I tell you
you-
about Maggie Long?
Please.
Yeah, no, that was a case that I wasn't even sure I was gonna. I always do this. I don't know if anybody else like that is, or anybody else out there is like this. I will look up a case and I'm like, I don't think I can make a full episode on that. And then I go research. I'm like, oh well, there's 45 minutes or whatever. Never mind. And that was one of those episodes because I was sent this case again and again and told there's probably not enough to make an episode. And to be honest, there weren't a lot of interviews out there and a lot of news articles, but I was able to put it together. And essentially, Maggie Long is a teenager who leaves her. She was at school to basically run this VIP section for this play. She was just a great student, a great kid. Her family was well known in the community for owning local businesses. They had restaurants, they had a liquor store. You know, her families were immigrants, I believe, from the Philippines and came to America to, you know, create a life for themselves. And they did, and they established this wonderful life for themselves in Colorado. You know, and the parents are away, sisters are gone. Maggie's at school, goes home for a second to grab something. And while that happens, she's murdered by intruders. Her house is set on fire, and it's determined that, you know, they left her in there to burn alive, unfortunately. And there's not a ton after that. There's some weird aspects to it, but long story short, you know, the FBI is now investigating it as a hate crime. Maggie is Asian, you know, like I said, her parents come from the Philippines. And yeah, so it's a crazy case that didn't get a lot of exposure, and I was super happy I was able to put that together. Because I hate to like limit the episodes I can do on the podcast because I'm like, I'm not sure it'll hit that 30-minute mark. Like that's another initiative for me, is like I just want to put out episodes that I think need justice, that I think need attention. And so I'm kind of throwing all the rules out. Like I don't care. I'll put out whatever length episode I need to, so that I can cover cases like this, so that it didn't take me months and months and months of getting these suggestions, thinking I can't put together an episode, when the whole time I could. But yeah, Maggie Long is a really interesting case that has not gotten near enough media attention for what's going on. I mean, this poor kid, and now it's being investigated as a hate crime, and it's nobody really knows what happened. Nobody knows who these guys were. It's insane.
And it's pretty recent too.
Oh, you know, I gotta look it up, to be honest. Let me see. It was just a few years ago. I want to say, was it 2017? Yeah. Not long ago at all. And they have sketches of these guys. They have vehicle descriptions. I wish that they had more. But yeah, the FBI is trying to share this information, and it's weird. It's like I've never seen these sketches before covering this case, and it makes you wonder why. But yeah, it's just hard. There's so many cases that need exposure, but yeah, if everybody could share Maggie Long's case, that would be amazing. She was a really cool kid.
Yeah, and I think the reason why this one stood out to me is because we've recently, you know, covered a few of these cold cases that have had a lot of information right off the bat, right from the jump, but they're old, like they're in the 90s or something, and you can understand how communication would move a little bit slower then, and you can, I guess, understand how an investigation could be impacted by that and slow down. But it just baffles me when you see something that's 2017 and they got nothing. You know, it's isn't that hard to believe it in your head? Like, no one who perpetrated this crime did anything that was put out there in an email or a text or social media, like nothing. Like, it's just very bizarre to me.
Exactly. Somebody knows something. And the interesting aspect with this case too is when the police arrived, it's, you know, it's safe to say that the perpetrators were close to the scene. So I think it's really possible, you know, it's also this deep deserted road really, because they were out kind of in the country. So I think it's not hard to imagine that the police dash cam might have even captured these perpetrators leaving. It's one of those cases where they are keeping a lot of things close to the vest. So yeah, it's like it was in 2017. Why isn't there camera footage of something? Why isn't there more of something out there? It's so hard with these newer cases. You think, oh gosh, it's so hard to get away with a crime or whatever. But it's apparently it's not. I don't know how these people do it. It's insane.
That's a good point. And before we started doing this, I was in the camp of very difficult, if not impossible, to get away with a crime in today's society. And now I'm in the camp of it's very easy to get away with a crime in today's society. It's if you just think about it a little bit, you can figure out a way to at least not be convicted of a crime.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but also what astounds me is the amount of people that like don't seem to even be trying that hard to get away with it. Like these guys were like
Yeah.
right next to the police or whatever. I don't think that they were grand masterminds. I think they just got lucky. And that's what's crazy to me is like, how does that happen? I mean, let alone how do you escape technology in 2022 now? Oh my gosh, feels like we're in the Jetsons. But yeah, like I don't know how people do it. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, good points there. It's insane. It seems like you definitely don't have to be a criminal mastermind or even smart necessarily to get away with it. You know, we covered cases where it's like some of them really obvious, and there's just still nothing some agencies can do.
Yeah. Oh, these cases, man.
Yeah.
But I will say Pan Man was ahead of his time. He had the mask thing going on right from the beginning. I mean, he was doing the mask thing before people even considered doing masks. And I've been really begging for a short, like a little teaser promo film that's called Pan-Mandemic. I think he could really play the whole, you know, play into the whole pandemic with the pot on the head and a mask over the pot.
That sounds like a satire about the pandemic if I've ever heard one.
It's
Like
whatever
one of
you
those
want it
South
to
Park
be.
specials.
Yeah, I know. Right? We'll hashtag both sides, or you will just hashtag every extreme thing you can think of, like COVID is not real.
Media control.
Yeah.
Let's get anagrams of everything, and we'll just force it.
All the
I did-
anagrams.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did see a meme that drove me crazy a couple weeks ago about the Omicron. It was like the Goodfellas meme where it's like Henry Hill and they're like laughing, you know, that yeah, he's like, they're all laughing, wise guys. And it's like, oh, if you rearrange the letters to Omicron, you get moronic. And that was it. That was like the meme. And it's like, oh, they're trying to, that meme is trying to say that like Biden and Fauci came up with this word Omicron because it'll really fool people. it'll really get them. They'll be laughing all the way. That one was whoo. And then there was another one that if Omicron and was it Delta, or I don't know what the other Omicron Delta,
Mhm.
you combine those and rearrange those letters, you get media control. Somehow that's proof of something besides letters. There's only 26 letters in the alphabet.
Well, I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious that it was concocted in a lab and then unleashed on the public, and that's just the private joke. That's the private joke that the perpetrators have in their own inner circles in the basement of the pizza parlor. You know, that's the private joke they have. We'll make it an anagram of media control because they want to
People get
come
so
real close to
clever.
getting caught.
I
It's a
mean,
big wink.
It's so funny.
no one ever said the media is right about anything. Like, like they get shit wrong all the time. That's why there's retractions in newspapers. That's why there's another segment on the news to correct the shit that they got wrong in the previous segment. Like,
but they bury those.
oh my God.
There was a part in Don't Look Up that I think is it's a great thing to remember in life. And they're talking about how the government has this grand plan, and she looks at them and she was like, the most depressing thing is they're not even smart enough to pull off with what you think they can. And it's like, let's just remember that we're all human. Like, it's some of these grand conspiracy theories. It's tough. You have to think about how many people are involved. Like with the Gabby Petito, like the amount of people, when I would go on TikTok live, they're like, what do you think of the conspiracies? And I'm like, I don't think hundreds of people can get together and keep their mouth shut. Like, I think there's just a strong case for that. First of all, it's so interesting to see what people come up with in these cases and times.
Yes, it is indeed. Yeah, I don't know if I heard the one you were talking about Gabby Petito, hundreds of people.
Oh, well, that it was all a cover up, and that Brian isn't really dead, and that the family was in on it with the FBI and helped them plant that stuff. And it's like, there's just the amount of people and planning that would have to be involved in that.
How many letters do you get? Like how many letters do you get when there's something wrong on your taxes? Like, or when you're changing health plans? Like, how many fucking letters do you get in the mail? Because shit just is like, it's not organized. Everything's disorganized. Like, just imagine that on a grand scale. Like, it's just, there's no way it could be coordinated enough to do anything. Like,
I mean, it's all the layers and layers of bureaucracy that just that won't allow that to happen.
Yeah,
right?
It'll come out in time, right? We know that things happen. Like Agent Orange is like a real thing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
We know that some of these conspiracy theories, especially in the olden days, decades ago, and people come out and it's like, oh, that was actually true. So we know that things do happen, but it doesn't, like, it's more rare, I think, than a lot of people think. Like, I think it's a lot of people just trying to do their jobs, and I don't know. Like I said, I think these things do happen, but to try to apply it in every single situation is giving them a lot of credit.
Yeah. I mean, I think they stopped after they hired Stanley Kubrick to film the moon landing, and then they released it to the public as the real thing. I think they'd realized like that was going a little too far. So I believe it stopped after that.
Roswell, what are they? Well, all those UFO I need to look at all the UFO stuff. I need to get up to date on that. See, I do love, I like, I'll look into some of these things a little bit. I think some of them are worth your time a day, but most of them aren't.
Yeah. I mean, let's just omit aliens and UFOs from the conversation, because we all know they're real and we don't have to go down that rabbit hole tonight. And that's a whole nother show that we can do some other time.
Well, my personal
1 minute
theory,
past the hour, you don't want to dive into it.
I'm just saying, it's like so obvious the government's been keeping secrets about UFOs for decades.
Right. To support.
No, okay. Well, they just hired those people, right? They just hired that whole team to try to figure out how America is going to react to finding out that aliens are real or whatever. And you're like, okay, well, that's worth thinking about. Why'd you hire a dozen people to do that or whatever?
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Aliens may be real, but there's definitely no coordinated, like decades long conspiracy. Like, I'm sure maybe if aliens are real, people tried to keep it under wraps, but again, it's just back to like, people are trying to do their best. Like, no one knows what the hell that they are. Like, do you think the government knows what they are if they're real?
Not only does the government know what they are, the government released COVID as a distraction, and then they just slid in the whole, oh, by the way, here's some documents about aliens. Oh no, another variant.
Oh boy.
All smoke and mirrors, guys.
I was raised a conspiracy theorist. It's hard to reconcile as an adult, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I bet. Our buddy Chris Lawrence joined. Maybe he's been helping us out a lot with this Lula. Big shout out to Chris Lawrence and his hair.
What's up? What's up, Chris Lawrence?
Oh, his hair is ridiculously amazing. Very jealous.
It's like he's just climbed off of a surfboard to join you on Zoom.
Yeah.
Sounds beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, it's something to behold.
What's beautiful. You retweeted it, Sarah. Keanu Reeves donating $35 million, I think, to cancer research, which was nearly his entire paycheck from the Matrix sequel.
Wow, that's
It was like
amazing.
70% of his paycheck.
Wow.
I think he's an amazing human.
He's a
I
saint.
thought it was the first movie, but I don't know. But
Oh, maybe it was the first movie.
I think it like just slipped out that he donated that. No, I aspire to be more Keanu-like. I'm not gonna lie. He's one of my big role models in terms of just like being a fucking awesome human being.
Yes.
And just in case you missed it, in our last episode with Elizabeth Breck, we referenced the amazing foot chase that took place in the original Point Break between him and the late, great Patrick Swayze. Not only is Keanu an amazing human being, but that just go to YouTube, watch the foot chase. I mean, he throws a dog. He punts he gets thrown a dog at him. Like a dog is incorporated into the foot chase. It's brilliant. And then you got Keanu just hustling.
Yeah. Well, and remember that time he saved that city bus from blowing up? You know what I mean? That
I
jumped
do
the
remember
bridge and
that
everything.
time.
Yeah, he's
That
he's
was
a national
crazy.
hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That was nuts.
as great as that decision was, he made an even better decision by not appearing in the sequel.
Aww.
But there was a cruise ship that was about to crash into the harbor, Lance. Someone needed to stop that cruise ship.
And Jason Patrick was the man for the job.
Oh, he sure was.
Yeah.
Well,
I
this
didn't
has
think
been
we'd
a lot
end on
of
Jason
fun.
Patrick.
My gosh, this has been a lot of fun shooting the S here tonight with you two, and our chat room that we didn't read as many comments as we maybe hoped. They took some shots at us at times for ignoring them, but we will get better at that. Still dealing with the new interface here. And we had a great conversation. This is the first live show in a little while. We're a little rusty. Give us a break, for Christ's sake.
I feel rusty and very long-winded. So thank you for dealing with me tonight. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, it's totally fine. I knew it was going to be a rough go when, for whatever reason, Zoom wasn't working right off the bat. And then it was like, oh man, this is already coming in like high strung, tightly wound.
Exactly
Well,
what
but
we'd expect for 2022.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Thank you for listening, for hanging out. For Sarah Turney, Lance Reenstierna, I'm Tim Polari, and we will see you in 2 weeks back here
2
on the
weeks.
Crime and Culture Show.
Yeah, we got Tuesday, January 18th. We have a fantastic author by the name of J.W. Ocker on. And if you haven't heard of him, look him up. The man does a lot of very cool shit. He's got a website called Odd Things I've Seen. Odd Things I've Seen. And if you go to that, oddthingsi'veseen.com, I believe, J.W. Ocker, you can see all the books that he's written. And we are going to be talking about, the odd things that he's seen and done. Totally cool guy.
Yeah, very cool guy. Yeah, interview with him coming out soon about his book, Cursed Objects. Really cool conversation.
Very cool.
All right, everyone.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah.
Only
Thank
on
you
Stitcher.
so much. Yeah. And make sure to subscribe to Sarah Turney's shows, Disappearances, only on Spotify and Voices for Justice, of course, everywhere.